In the last video, we were introduced to different kinds of equations, equations with one solution, no solution, or infinitely many solutions. And we were working with equations that had one variable. And now we're going to go over the idea of what it means to solve an equation, in particular equations with only one variable. Let's start out with an equation here and try to determine how many solutions it has. So to solve this, instead of trying to figure out in our head what the answer might be, there's a simple way to do this. It involves looking at an equation a lot like a balance. We could imagine that we have something on the left side of our balance and something on the right side of our balance. And these are two different things, but they have the same weight. And that's essentially what an equation is. They might use different numbers, but they have the same value ultimately. And just like a balance, if we add something to one side of that balance, it's going to start to pull that weight down. But we can retain balance by just adding that same thing that we added to one side to the other side. So now the weights are equal on both sides. And so we're going to use that idea with equations as well. We want to know what x is, and that's going to tell us how many solutions we have. So we can do that by taking this 5 from this side and putting it over on this side. But we can't just take something from one side and put it to the other. What we can do is do the same thing to both sides. And in this example, we have negative 5 on the left side, so we can cancel that negative 5 out by adding 5. So if we were to add 5 to the left side, that essentially takes it away from the left-hand side. But again, remember, we need to do the same thing to the right side that we did to the left side. So we're going to add 5 to the right-hand side. And what we're left with is x on the left and 2 plus 5 on the right. Well, that is the same thing as 7. In this example, x equals 7. And since we found one particular answer, then this equation has one solution. Okay, let's erase that and look at another problem. Okay, let's write out 2, we can add some parentheses here, x plus 3, and this equals 2x plus 5. Now, does this equation have one solution? Does it have many solutions? Or does it have no solution? So solving this equation is going to involve an additional step than the one that we just worked through. And that is that we want to simplify this left-hand side so that the terms inside the parentheses are accessible, and then we can add or remove them much easier. So to do that, if you remember from a few videos back, this here is the same thing as 2 times x plus 2 times 3. And remember that dot as just times. What we have here is the same equation, just written a little bit differently. And we're almost done. Let's go ahead and finish the simplification here. So 2 times x, we can rewrite that and take out the dot and just write 2x. And let's put our plus sign in there. And then 2 times 3 is 6. So before it was hard to know if there was a solution to our equation or not. But if we write out the equation this way, it may be clear to you now that there's in fact no solution, because we have here on the left-hand side 2x and on the right-hand side 2x, and we're adding different numbers. And if you have something, in our case 2x, and we add 6 to it, that's never going to equal the same thing but 5 added instead of 6. This one on the right is always going to be one less than this one on the left. So this equation has no solutions. All right, let's look at one more example. What about 3 times 2x plus 4 equals 6x plus 12. And again, let's go ahead and simplify this expression within the parentheses. We can rewrite this entire expression as 3 times 2x plus 3 times 4. And what does that evaluate to? 3 times 2x is going to be 6x, because we have 2x and we just have 3 groups of them. So we'll write that here, 6x. And then 3 times 4 is 12. And we're going to rewrite the right-hand side of our equation down here. It didn't need any simplification. both the left-hand side and the right-hand side are the identical expression, and so it doesn't matter what we put in for x, because our x is always going to be the same number on both sides. That means that these expressions are always going to equal each other. And in that case, this equation has infinite number of solutions.